And today we're talking about the uncommon civil rights activists. You know, there's a lot of folks that do things and you never really get to hear their names. And so I thought, being that I've been going through what I've been going through myself, my family, some of my partners, and with the enormous Supreme Court case on the April the 22nd, where the Supreme Court went 9-0 against the FTC for what they found to be abuse. We got to bring it to light. So I wanted to have you hear from some folks that have been directly involved from a civil rights standpoint and get their viewpoint. So you've heard from me last week. I came on, my attorney came on. We got an opportunity to talk to the great Ken Walls. We got an opportunity to talk to Kevin Thompson, one of the direct sales attorneys, one of the most known in the industry. So we got an opportunity for you to hear from those different perspectives, and me personally. And then I did a personal call where I said, look, let's just let the truth come out and let me tell my side of the story. But then if you hear people that have been directly affected, I think that it's important that you hear their side of the story. So now we got a lot of folks that are coming on the stream. Want to welcome everybody. Again, we're just getting lined up here. And then, yep, got a lot of folks on the stream. And this is amazing, you know, to be able to hear from heroes. So what happened? Let's kind of give a little backdrop. So the Supreme Court 9-0. Supreme Court 9-0, which is rare that you have all 9 justices that vote against an issue. Usually, you know, you got some difference of opinions, but this seemed to be so obvious, so over the top. And especially if you listen to the January the 13th, 2021 hearing in the AMG Capital Management case, in which these folks here, so every one of these folks that I've got here, they're amongst the hundreds. They're some of the leaders of the hundreds of people that went and attached themselves to the AMG case. So this is the front cover of an amicus brief they filed. It was several pages, but they hired their own attorney. Actually, an attorney worked pro bono, and but they retained their own attorney, and the attorney went and filed on behalf of hundreds of people, just like these folks here, in that case. So we would love to be able to hear your comments, and as this gets rolling out, but I think you're going to be shocked by what you hear and what some folks have had to go through in order to protect freedoms. I believe these are some of your uncommon heroes, people you wouldn't expect. So let's just kind of get to it. Let's start out with, we've got Jody Bear out of Florida. Jody, you were involved. The Federal Trade Commission sued Success by Health, Success by Media, my companies, myself, my wife, and a couple of other of our partners, Scott Harris, Tommy Sacca, on January 13, 2020. They had a ex parte private hearing where they went into a judge and were able to get an injunction and an asset freeze against us, which now we find out was illegal from the Supreme Court. But it had a direct effect on you and your life and your business because you happen to be one of the affiliates with our company. So, Jody, let's talk about what you feel, and let's just get this started where people can hear from some of the uncommon civil rights activists. Over to you, Jody.
Well, I'm a 67-year young health coach and holistic nutritionist. I came with this business because I'm even too old to work on a blue vest at Wally World. I had to go ahead and I wanted to create something of wealth for my husband and I that would live, outlive, and way-live in a lifestyle that we wanted to have beyond our social insecurity. When this FTC shut us down, my paycheck and my company that I had created and worked hard to sell coffee and to train others to sell coffee and supplements went from here to zero in the middle of COVID. It went from here to zero where I couldn't even get full body nutrition during the COVID era. It was an atrocity. And what I saw is they walked in, the FTC, this government agency walked in with unclean hands. And I believe way back, they had their eye on Mr. J. Nolan. Why? Because of the color of his skin. And this is what I know. Our man here, the CEO and founder of this company, had written a blog in 2014, way before SBH had started, way before our company. It was called The Color of Money. He taught us that money is in other people's pockets, and it doesn't matter whether it's Asian money, it doesn't matter whether it's Latino money, black, white, pink, we don't care. I have product, you have money, you make the transfer. My immigrant mother always told me, Jody, you bleed red and people spend and make green. Guess what? The FTC didn't see it like that because they're a glorified collection agency. This government agency decided to go in, just like this training. Then let's fast forward to 2018. I am at a training in Maui, Hawaii, and Mr. J. Nolan came out. He goes, what will make a difference with this company? I was afraid to say this. I went to my husband and I said, it's got to be the quality of the products, or do you think he's talking about the color of his skin? And I said, oh, I can't say that. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, people on planet Earth, the cat's out of the bag now. We're talking about it. We're doing it because, getting back to the FTC being a glorified collection agency, they want money. We had a smallish company with a great track record and cash assets, but there wasn't enough money. They blew through that money once they illegally froze business and personal assets to the degree that college-aged children of one of the officers couldn't even go ahead, and they couldn't continue in college because there was a joint checking account. It broke my heart to know that there was a 5-year-old young man in training, a little boy, that took his stuffed animals and put him in the box because those guys could take my stuffed animals. That's what's going on here, because they discriminate against people that want to work hard, make money. The only thing that Jay Nolan, and I'm here on record, is guilty of is making people feel like they can do anything, feel like they can be invincible, and they can break through walls because he empowers people. Now, if that is wrong, then I'm not in the United States of America. If that is wrong, we've got a problem. If that is wrong, then I'm living in not the land of the free, the home of the brave. I wrote a declaration to the court on discrimination. And what I said in this, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal with their inalienable rights. Well, that means that the inalienable rights is due process. Inalienable rights are you're guilty until proven innocent. No. You're innocent until proven guilty. But they illegally, this government agency, took a law that's now been refuted, and 9-0 by the Supreme Court. It's over. They have been illegally using this for decades, to the degree, check out, audience, the Buffalo Law Review. There have been countless business owners, not just us. There are countless business owners in this brief that have taken their lives. They committed suicide because somebody eviscerated their hopes, eviscerated their dreams. And we came to the aid of this fine man of integrity, this fine man that built his company on the color of money. Money comes from other people's pockets, not because you're old or young, you're black, white, Asian, Latino. It didn't matter. And we came to his aid because it's here, right now, that we need to believe that all men are created equal, all men are free, and all men deserve these inalienable rights.
Thank you so much, Jody. We appreciate you opening up, kind of really setting a serious foundation here. I'd like to go over to an ex-senior vice president of PepsiCo, Mr. Robert Mailer. You've been one of these frontline, uncommon civil rights activists. I don't know if you ever would have thought that you would find yourself here. Maybe give a little background about what you've experienced, and then your take, Robert. Over to you, Robert Mailer.
Sure thing, absolutely. Well, being 59 years old, I guess now I've seen it all. But until just a year and a half ago, I hadn't seen anything close to what I realized goes on around here. I grew up back in the Northeast. I've lived all across the country. I've experienced a lot of things. Went to Bucknell University for undergrad. Then went to work in the wine industry. So I was with Gallo Wine, a Fortune 500 company. Then was recruited by Pepsi-Cola, which is a Fortune 50 company. Became a senior vice president, running one of the 5 arms of distribution in all of North America. Went to the Wharton School of Business, so I've got an MBA from there. So I've got a pretty strong business background. I've owned 4 traditional businesses outside of direct sales, traditional businesses, after my corporate experience. And I actually considered being an attorney. When I was in high school. And I didn't become one for certain personal reasons, basically because I didn't believe that I could ever represent somebody that was guilty. And that's the law, that you need to. So I said, the heck with the law, but I still am law abiding and believe in the law. Well, what I have experienced, having left the corporate world and become an entrepreneur was a great paradigm shift where everything I thought before had to change in order to have success, because I was no longer following the bouncing ball. I was no longer trying to climb the ladder. I was creating for the first time. I was actually creating good. I met Mr. Nolan over 25 years ago. Okay, and we created a lot of good together for a few years. And we both saw some misgivings and misactions and missteps of a company that we were part of then, and we both left. So that says the kind of ethics and integrity that Mr. Nolan has and I had. We both walked away. And we reunited about 5 or 6 years ago. And I got started in this company. Basically, I was the 26th person in Success by Health. And then even left the field as an affiliate and became an executive. So I was working right next to Mr. Nolan, Mr. Sacca, Mr. Harris, the defendants in this case. So I had firsthand knowledge inside. And I saw so much horrific activity at Pepsi-Cola. That's one of the reasons I left corporate America. People were being remunerated. They were being incentivized for doing bad, for hurting others, just for hitting a bottom line, burning the furniture every 4 weeks, sometimes having to take out bodies, get rid of people just for money. And it's ever since I've been in my own business, I'm like, man, this is so backwards. I mean, we were discreating then. I mean, yeah, we were hitting numbers and quote unquote shareholder value, but we weren't helping anybody. So what's amazing is now that I've been in my own businesses, and especially now back in direct sales, I've experienced nothing but helping people, focused on growing with a product that is necessary, that's needed, that's used up, repurchased. People, I just today I had somebody contact me saying, that he got a call from somebody saying, my wife is totally addicted to your coffee. Addicted, of course, I guess caffeine can do that. But to our coffee, not just coffee. She loves our coffee, and where can I get some more? So our products are helping people, because they're healthy, good for you. We've helped so many people. So here we are helping all these people, and for almost a year and a half ago now, on January 13th, 2020, I'm getting ready to watch the national championship football game for college football. And I find out that the FTC has now put a temporary restraining order against us. And I was literally aghast. It was impossible for me. And my girlfriend, she just reminded me the other day that I said, hey, no big deal. 3 weeks from this, we'll be done with this. 3 weeks from now, the truth will come out. We'll be out on the other side. We got this. That's what I said last January. I didn't realize the wheels of injustice that we got caught in. There was no due process. Okay. We asked, we found out, okay, and I was part of corporate. We found out that the FTC had subpoenaed bank records. And Mr. Nolan and our attorney, with their hands up, said, hey, over here, you guys need something? We're happy to cooperate. Letterhead letters, emails, phone calls. And they said, nope, this is just typical activity. This is just the way we operate. No big deal. Everything's fine. Well, that's what they said in April. And then they took 8 months to create this case. And this is just Robert Mailer speaking, but as I've already told you my background, I kind of know what I'm talking about. What they have done is they've decided what the mosaic is going to be. They've decided what that picture is going to look like. And they've just cut out whatever little pieces they need to build that picture. And it has not been due to reality. And I was wrong that it was going to take that long, but I'll tell you what, now the Supreme Court has said that they're wrong what they did. Basically, everything that they have done since last January has now been called illegal, and we will come out on the other side. But look at what it's done. Look at the unfair behavior. As Jody mentioned, the Buffalo Law Review, look at the people who've taken their lives over the last 20, 30 years because of this. I mean, that's a dire situation. I mean, how is that possible in this country, the United States of America, where you're innocent until proven guilty? So it has now been proven by the Supreme Court that what the FTC has been doing for decades is illegal. Okay, they have been operating outside the law. And what's even more disturbing, as I sit here today on May 5th, 2021, is the FTC has every intention of lobbying Congress to change the law so that they can do what they just did to us and they've done to all those other people over the last few decades. So they are living, I kiddingly say, they're living on planet FTC. I mean, they're in their own little private Idaho here. People need to understand. I mean, here we are, we may be lamenting about our situation in our case, but people need to realize this goes far past any of us. And that is why somebody like myself, and talk about uncommon civil rights activist, I never would have in a gazillion years thought that I'd be in this situation. But I'm so behind this because what has happened is so wrong. And everything that this country affords us, that's not how the FTC has been operating. And the scary part is they still want to continue it. They would continue it tomorrow. They actually spoke to our attorneys. They were ordered to have a meeting with our attorneys after the Supreme Court decision, and they actually said they didn't believe the Supreme Court decision made any difference in how they're operating. That is the highest court in the land that they're shunning. So people need to be aware of this. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking time to listen to this. We appreciate you for your support, because I'll tell you, I mean, Mr. Knoll may not want to say it, but this is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he and the other defendants had their assets frozen. The company had its assets frozen. It was almost like we were tied up, legs slit, thrown into the deep water with sharks, and we were supposed to somehow defend ourselves. And that's how the FTC operates. That is their playbook. That's how they win case after case after case. Why are they going after a company that did $7.5 million in 2.5 years? I mean, well, what did we do? Not to mention, we've now proven that we didn't do anything. We're spotless. I mean, as a matter of fact, our numbers when it comes to the direct sales industry are almost unbelievable. They're so strong from the standpoint of how we have operated. That's why I'm part and so proud to be part of this company. But people need to understand that what is going on right now is completely heinous and out of control, and they don't want it to end. So nobody is safe until we put this to bed for good. When we are done with this, this is myself speaking, but when we are done and we come out to the other side of this, our job is not done. Our job is to make sure the FTC can never change that law, can never go back to operating illegally as they have. Due process is a right of every citizen in the United States of America. And I just appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time.
Real quick before I go on to some of the other guests here, you guys, you started out with hundreds of people that went in on the amicus brief, as I just showed, with the Supreme Court case. That means you joined yourself to that. Then you guys went out and hired. So we got our attorneys from corporate, and then we weren't allowed to even pick the attorneys for our own company, which I believe is unconstitutional, big time. But individually, we have our attorneys. But for some reason, you guys decided to go get your own attorney and then to go do a motion to intervene with a motion to sue the FTC. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. And here's what's interesting about this. Last summer, I mean, first of all, the FTC is the Federal Trade Commission, and their whole reason for being is to protect the consumer. And they've destroyed the income for over 7,000 affiliates of SBH. Jody was our #1 money earner. I mean, she was on her way to financial freedom without a doubt. I mean, she was there, and where we would be a year and a half later now is, all of our businesses were flourishing. So last summer, because we said we are not being, helped by the FTC. We're being hurt. We actually asked your attorneys to join us to that case, saying if you're suing these companies, you need to sue us too, because we're being hurt too. We're not on you. You're not protecting us, FTC. And the judge said, no, you guys can't be part of that.
I want everybody to understand what you just said there. You just said that you guys requested to be sued.
Yes. We wanted to be added to your lawsuit. We're like, we said, hey, here's the bullseye right here. Go ahead. Because once again, that's why I told my girlfriend January 13th, a year and a half ago, this will only take a few weeks, because I knew our record. I knew that when the truth came out, we'd be fine. So that's why we were like, hey, put us in, sue us too. And the judge said, no, can't do that. So now that this has been happening, we've hired our own set of attorneys. Okay, so the affiliates, and we are now 888 strong. Okay, now understand this. We have 7,000 affiliates, but in the year 2019, only about 3,300 were truly active. So do the math. 888, call it 900 of 3,300 are upset enough, have been hurt enough, and feel there are damages against them that we are working to sue the FTC, and we are adjoining to everything that your attorneys are doing. So, I mean, that's proof in the pudding right there. We have been hurt, we have been damaged, and as I said earlier, everybody needs to realize it's not going to stop with us if we don't stop this once and for all. Others will be hurt as well. We're not the first, and if we don't go to work and really focus on this thing, we won't be the last.
Wow, that's amazing. Let me go over to, we've got a couple down in Texas. Looks like we've got Rhonda and Buddy Wright. Rhonda and Buddy Wright, you guys decided to join in, get your own attorneys, and go become uncommon civil rights activists. What do you have to say about everything that's been going on?
Well, we are Buddy and Rhonda Wright. We're the parents to 3 beautiful children, and we're originally from Kentucky. And we decided to become entrepreneurs a little over 3 years ago after taking the first sip of coffee that was created by you, Mr. Nolan. I knew then it was a fantastic product, and we decided to become entrepreneurs together for the first time with coffee. And, to teach our children to also, become entrepreneurs someday. But we're formerly from the educational system, and in a period of months, we decided to leave the education system and just focus on our business full time. And then we later moved to Texas. We've been here about 2 years now, and our business was growing. And then last January, as has been stated, the FTC, we had, all our lives, trust government organizations. We were taught to trust the government and organizations. But last January, when they came in and took our business from us, it came to a screeching halt. And for us, that is how we made money. So for us, everything just to come to a screeching halt, it was a scary situation for us and our family of 5. And at that point, we were wondering why this government agency would come in and just shut our business down. What happened to due process? Because there was none. And, we just didn't quite understand what was going on.
I think for us, reading the allegations that had come across, their reasoning for shutting our company down was just ludicrous. I mean, every allegation we read, we're like, that's not true. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. And so to know that like it claims on the website, that it's supposed to be protecting us as consumers, because we are the consumers. We are consuming the products from this company. We are the consumers, and they are supposed to be protecting us, yet they believed lies from other people. And because of that, overnight, our income, our sole source of income, was stripped away. We had to find a different way to feed our 3 children overnight without any warning, without any kind of, and then as we learned more about how our CEO and founder had been willing to cooperate with this agency that made these false allegations the year before in every possible way, as officially as you can with your attorney, reaching out multiple ways to say, okay, my hands are up. What do you need from me? I'm fully, I'm an open book. Let me, show you what you need to know to dispute these allegations or whatever you're looking for. Here it is. And to know that was turned away, and then immediately just, January 13th totally turned everything around. The more we learned about the background in this, it just didn't really make sense why a baby company like we were would have been targeted. I mean, what did they have to gain? What were they trying to accomplish? And the only thing we can come to the conclusion, especially being in the courtroom in February last year, was it had to be some type of discrimination. I mean, what else? What other reason would somebody who is promoting, our CEO and founder created this company and was promoting it and teaching us that we were to promote it as the most multiracial, multicultural, and diverse company in the world. That means equal opportunity for anybody. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. None of that matters. You have an equal opportunity to come in and put forth the effort to create what you want through the power of retail sales and selling coffee and supplements, which we did. And that's how we were able to walk away from a traditional job and be able to pursue this entrepreneurship with our family full time and have the opportunity to move across the country if we, because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to travel and show our kids the country. And that's what we were able to do, this freedom. And to have the government agency, because of somebody's lies, just strip that away from us. And we are now standing on the front lines because this cannot continue for our children. We want to teach our children and have taught our children that everybody is equal. Everybody deserves the rights, the unalienable rights that our Constitution provides as U.S. citizens, and that includes due process, and that was not given to us. So we are standing to make a change before any other families, any other innocent American business owners are harmed and pillaged like we have all been. This group of family members that we have together have been harmed by this agency that claims to protect us.
You guys keep mentioning about through lies. So I think all of you except Melanie here, that individual here on this picture, right? And what went down when he got caught having an extramarital affair with my executive assistant, and then I fired her, and then he happened to be an executive, so we demoted him and put him on a strict disciplinary action agreement. And then that didn't work out too good for him, it didn't look like. So he went about to try to smear us. So we sued him in a Nevada court, and we were able to get an injunction from a state judge in Nevada, which would protect our company, which ultimately protects you. So when you've got going through the legal process, so I want everyone to understand how I'm feeling and how these folks here seem to be feeling, is that me, as a Black CEO, one of the few in the entire world, comes out and addresses that head on. And I told all the folks in our company, I said, look, you know how the racial situation is in this world. If you guys have any problem with me being a Black CEO, feel free to go work somewhere else. But these folks seem to really gravitate towards the message of equal opportunity for everybody, which I pounded. And so why is this so important to everybody listening that you hear this? Why am I taking the time to go the uncommon civil rights activists, really the heroes? Because if I, as an owner or any owner, black, white, brown, purple, or yellow, if they are running a company and providing opportunity, providing jobs, providing contractors business that can go out and build and make income, providing business opportunities, increasing the revenue in the marketplace, and a governmental agency that's supposed to protect us comes in and does an investigation. And then someone like me or any CEO, any color, any race, any background, any gender says, hey, You throw your hands up, go, what I do wrong? What's going on? How can I help you? And then them say, oh, we're doing a little follow-up from a earlier issue. And then you have an attorney put on letterhead. So not only do we communicate verbally, but on letterhead, and we say, my purpose in corresponding with you at this time is to convey my client's offer of cooperation. We didn't know what the heck they were investigating. We didn't know that this individual that I just showed you earlier, we didn't know that he went and filed all these false complaints that we have proven many, if not all of them, to be false. So he got 24 people to go file these false complaints. So how would you guys like to, everybody out there, you ladies and gentlemen, how would you like for your government to protect you, your jobs, your opportunities? If they do come to a business owner and the business owner goes, I want to cooperate with you. And then the business owner has done everything to protect the opportunity by going to court and finding the wrongdoers out and having a judge in Nevada say that person has an injunction against them. Stop doing what you're doing. How many of us think that our higher government agencies should listen to a lower government agency that has taken the time to do the due diligence, to go then do an order to say stop the illegal behavior, but the higher government believes the illegal behavior? A person that has been found to have done illegal behavior. So that's why you keep hearing these folks say these lies. So anyway, I'd like to bring up our next uncommon civil rights activist who happens to be a doctor. Dr. Tevis Sherfield, what do you have to say about what's going on and be able to help educate people out there, because the country needs to know? What do you have to say, Dr. Tevis Sherfield?
You know, Mr. Nolan, I appreciate you bringing up that point about higher government agencies not listening to the government agencies who show that someone's been participating in illegal behavior. Okay, they don't listen to that illegal behavior, but one of the things they do is when you offer to cooperate, they say in basically what they say is he's not credible. Okay. Now, if I put myself in a situation.
Oh, that's right. So the words were, when I offered to cooperate, you brought up a great point, Mrs. Dr. Sherfield. When we offered to cooperate with a licensed attorney of 30 years, they said we did not accept his offer as credible. So I thought everybody should know they didn't accept this as credible, Mr. Sherfield, Dr. Sherfield.
So it's interesting that they say you're not credible, a law-abiding citizen, and then someone who has an order against them for doing things wrongly, he's the one who's credible. And his team of people who file these false complaints, they're the one who's credible. And the reason it's that way is because it fits the agenda of this government agency who likes to take people out. Now, and you guys, excuse me if I get real passionate, and if I get long-winded, just stop me, because I could go on for days about this. You know, what happens is this agency, they don't like companies, in my opinion, that promote equality, okay, that provide equal opportunity to anybody. And that's exactly what we were doing. We were actually promoting that. That was in our marketing materials that we provide this place. Look at the people on this meeting right now, okay? Incredibly diverse backgrounds, different ages, different backgrounds, okay, different experience. I grew up in a family where we didn't have a lot, okay? And my parents' answer to that was, well, you better go to college, okay? And they said, and you better get grades because we can't afford to send you to college. So that's what I did. I got good grades and I went to college. I graduated undergrad. By then they're telling me that's not enough. I got to go to graduate school. So I went to be a physical therapist. Now, I went through physical therapy school and became a doctor of PT. And I realized that's not what I wanted to do either. But through this process of going through these challenging, challenges like getting through undergrad and getting through college stuff, I started realizing, you know what? I can do what I want to do. And then I was introduced to direct sales, and I saw direct sales, and I was like, wow, I can build this up. And then when I build it up, it'll stay. So that's what my mindset is. Once I build this up, I can put in the hard work now. And if I put in the hard work now, it'll stay, and I can take care of myself, my family, and my future generations. I can take care of them. So I want everybody to pay attention and understand that I've been in situations where I've seen live streams like this before, and I'm like, man, that's tough for them, but I'm glad I'm not part of that. Okay. Well, you have to understand that you are part of this. Okay. If you have a business, or if you know a business owner, or if you're just a consumer, you need businesses to be protected, to create competition in the marketplace, to keep prices down for you and things like that. Everybody needs businesses to be successful. And so you have to understand what the modus operandi is of the FTC, and this is my opinion. And if you go back and look at what they've done, you can start to see this. Now, in the beginning, I was very, very frustrated when I saw this happen. I was like, how could that happen to me? I built this up. I had a successful business that was growing. I was supporting my family with just this business, and they shut us down immediately and cut off every bit of my income and the income of the people here on this live stream. And so I was like, what are they doing? How are they operating? How are they getting away with this? I started digging into it, and here's basically what they do. Okay, they pick a company that they either don't like, that they're promoting equality, okay, and equal opportunity. They don't like that, or they find somebody they just think's an easy target. Okay, and a lot of it they base around discrimination and prejudices that still exist here in the United States, and they say, okay, that makes an easy target. All right, they pick a business that thinks that they think they're an easy target. Then what they do is they go ex parte, which means the party that's being accused doesn't know anything about it. Okay, they go to a court ex parte and they say, Judge, these people are doing things wrong. You need to give us a restraining order and an asset freeze, okay, because they're going to hurt some people. That's basically what they come in and do with no evidence, with no legitimate evidence, okay. The court grants the TRO and the asset freeze. Now, what does that leave for you? And remember, if you're a business owner, this can happen to you. You don't have to have done anything wrong. Okay, you're sitting here, you're a business owner, and then you get served. And they say, all right, you're sued because you did all these things wrong that we made up. We've cut off every bit of your income because we shut down your business, and we've frozen all of your assets so you have no access to funds. Now turn around, let me tie your hands behind your back, now go defend yourself. And what typically happens in these situations is the FTC wins by default, because the defendant, the business that was doing nothing wrong, has nothing available to defend themselves with. Okay, and that's what happens, and you have to understand that. Now I love that. I hate that that has to be brought up, but I love the fact that Ms. Jody and Mr. Robert Mailer brought up the article, Does the FTC Have Blood on Its Hands? Okay, and you have to understand. Thankfully, I'm very fortunate to have never had ever considered anything like suicide for myself. I'm almost 30 years old. What if I was 40 and I'd been working for that amount of time and they shut down my business, everything I'd worked for? What if I was 50? What if I was 60? Mine and I have considered things like that, working my entire life to create this business, to create freedom for myself and for my family, and they come in without asking me anything, shut me down, and give me no way to defend myself. Maybe I would have. Okay, and that article explains how the FTC operates and how so many people, so many business owners have actually committed suicide. Now, I'm going to say one more thing if I can, and then we'll turn it back over. I told you I could roll on this.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine, Doc.
Okay. So there's and I see in the comments, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. My brother actually just posted this link, stopsenatebill4626.com. There's a bill right now. It's 4626, and it's the FTC. Let me go back just a step so you guys understand. We talked about the Supreme Court ruling 9-0 against the FTC on April 22nd of this year. What they said is, FTC, what I just described right there, FTC, that's illegal. You can't do that. You've been doing it for decades, and the law says that you can't do that. You've been getting away with it. You're not going to get away with it anymore. So the FTC, they said, wait a minute. We're not going to abide by the law. We're just going to have the law changed to where what we're doing illegally becomes legal. And so they proposed this bill, and what it allows them to do is get equitable relief. What they've been doing, they've tried to expand this power to where they can go and freeze companies' assets and give them no way to defend themselves. So they pushed this over to Congress, and they're saying, give us this power that we've been exercising that we didn't legally have. Give us the power so we can continue doing what we've been doing. And they're working for that right now. So it's very, very, very critical for all citizens who care anything about whether you're a consumer or a business. You have to oppose that bill, because what it's going to allow the FTC to do is keep killing these companies, and in my opinion, keep having these business owners. Some of them result in a situation where they commit suicide. Okay, and it's going to chill the economy, in my opinion, because what we end up with is a bunch of business owners who say, I have a dream, but you know what? I don't want to spend 10 years building that just so somebody can take it from me. And so the economy goes down, and there's so many negatives to this bill, guys. They've hidden some good stuff in there to try to make it look like it's not all that bad. But I'm telling you, if this bill passes, it's going to be the end of the direct selling industry, right? And it's going to be a huge downside to any kind of business in America. So I think everybody should go to StopSenateBill4626.com. You can see a basic overview of what the FTC is trying to do here, and it gives you some action steps to be able to take to help us oppose that bill. Back to you, Mr. Nolan.
You know, it's not just us saying this. There were 7. Not only did these folks go get an attorney to file an amicus brief, so a brief, filed a motion with the court to say what the FTC is doing is illegal. Well, there's 7 others. 7. I mean, I've got paperwork for days, and inside these amicus briefs includes the United States of America Chamber of Commerce, who said that this behavior and this activity is illegal, what the FTC is doing. The Retailers Federation Association, they said it's illegal. The Direct Selling Association said it's illegal. The National Civil Liberties Alliance said it's illegal. The Americans for Prosperity, it's illegal. Multiple companies and organizations jumped in here and said if this is allowed, it's going to completely chill. Like Dr. Sherfield said, it's going to chill the whole business economy. Now, what's unique about the next young lady, thank you, Dr. Sherfield, is Melanie Summers. She was new into the company. She's a retired school teacher. I'll let her tell your story. But Melanie, you decided to become an uncommon civil rights activist. Did you ever think you'd be there? A little bit about your background and why you decided to put yourself on the line for this cause. Over to you, Melanie Summers.
Well, good afternoon or evening, wherever you might be. Thank you for letting me share a little bit about myself and why I am a civil activist in this cause. I taught school for 42 years, and I taught things in social studies about our Constitution and about how laws are made and how our government works. And it seems to me that everything I taught was a lie when this happened. I'd only been in this company for about 3.5 months when the FTC raised its ugly head in January of 2020. And in that time period, I got into SBH because I was looking for something else to do. I'd been retired for 3 years and I was bored. That's number one. But number two, I saw the business opportunity. And I'm one of these people who I'm just not going to go touting something unless I try it. You know, I tried the products and the products are outstanding. They're just, I can't believe that they would think that we have no product. And I'm one of those habitual coffee drinkers. My day isn't started until my third cup. So, you know, when this all happened in January of 2020, after I was just getting ready to go to my first opportunity for a training. I'd never even been to one of your trainings before. So, no, you know, for them to, some of the things they said, you know, I had never heard anyone say anything bad about you. Everyone that I had talked to was always talking about this amazing person, Jay Noland, who was the CEO of this company. And when I first started selling the coffee and the supplements, I didn't know, I didn't even understand the commission plan. I didn't understand anything. All I know is that in January, when they shut this down, there was more in my wallet in commissions than there was in my last paycheck as a teacher. And for them to tell me that I was being fooled. I mean, how can you say I'm being fooled? I had more money coming to me than my last paycheck as a teacher. It just, and then, I started hearing all of their accusations. I'm like, well, that's not true. Well, that's not true. And I sat in that courtroom with everyone on this that you see here. Every one of these people were in my house, and I didn't know one of these people. I didn't know one of these people before that hearing. And I said, anybody who wants to go to that hearing, I don't care where you are from, you come to my house, I'll feed you and find a place for you to sleep on the floor if I have to. And they'll all tell you they came. There was more than these people. I think there ended up being 13, 14, 15 people here. And, we were walking around each other, but we went to that hearing and we could not believe the things that the FTC was accusing, and some of their witnesses and the things that they said. I was just appalled. As a teacher of 42 years, I was appalled that the government that I grew up thinking was the greatest government on the earth was doing what they were doing. My dad was in World War II, and he got shot by a German sniper, and he had 3 German bullets in his liver until the day he dies. And matter of fact, that's what killed him. And he fought for my freedoms, and he fought for this country. And I know that if he knew what was going on today with and everything that's happened, he'd be rolling in his grave. And I just, I'm an activist because of the unfairness and the total disregard for me as a senior citizen, and Jody as a senior citizen, and Mr. Nolan as a man of color, and the Wrights as parents with children that they're raising, and Dr. Sherfield with a young wife. It just is appalling that our whole business was just closed with the snap of a finger without anyone even knowing it. And people have to realize that this cannot be happening. And then I found out it just dawned, it was an epiphany when the attorney says the other night that this was that it came up in the Supreme Court that they started doing this back in the 70s, this 13B, and they wrote a paper to the other agencies saying, hey, you can do this too, and this is how you do it. So are all the agencies of our government doing this in some sort of way? I don't know about you, but I know about me, and I am going to stand up and fight until this is made right. And thank you for letting me share.
Well, not only these words are just about as authentic as any words you can hear. I got a paper that was printed off the FTC's website. And this paper says that they are going to do this to companies on behalf of consumers. So the people that you're listening to, these are some of the consumers that the Federal Trade Commission said that they're going to protect from businesses that are not doing things lawfully, and that they're going to get restitution and disgorgement to pay back these damaged people. Now, all these people here are saying, we're not damaged. There's almost 900 of them that are filing to sue the FTC, saying we're not damaged. They filed a motion to intervene after they were denied when they volunteered to be joined, and the judge denied them the opportunity to join for their voices to be heard. And nobody's really got to hear their voice. It's all happening behind the scenes in the court systems. That's why I decided to do this video today, so you can hear from them. And this paper shows here, this little smaller writing here shows that during this particular period, the FTC took from companies $5.29 billion of what they call was illegally gained money. Then they put in this big print. I want everyone to notice this big print. Notice that this is small, how much they took. Then they say we gave back 269 million of the 5.29 billion in small print that they took. And they say they gave it back to over 3 million people. Now, when you divide that, I think, Melanie, you told me the other day that when you divide how much they gave back to people, what did you say, Melanie, it was?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of $80 a piece.
So about $80 a piece of all these. So they're going to keep 5 billion in this case and only give back about $80 a piece, which is only 269 million. But they talk about false advertisement, deceptive trade practices. To me, this paper is over the top deceptive. That's just my opinion. That they got on me about me disclaiming everything we do, no guarantees of income, and they say you didn't put it in big enough print. Look at that. Now, just to kind of popcorn this, in the courtroom, I was sitting there, and our attorney at the time found a particular article that the expert witness, Stacey Bosley, so the FTC went and hired an expert witness. Her name is Stacey Bosley from the Hamline University in Minnesota. And I hadn't heard of her before from anywhere. She goes and does a report that is about as bogus as you could ever imagine, trying to describe our commission plan and how it's not, quote, legal. It's one of the most jokes of an economist report you will ever see. I'm telling you, we've had people scrutinize it and they're going, it's a joke. They hire her as the witness. She gets on the stand. Our attorney finds out about some article where she's doing some lecture or doing an interview in regards to comparing multi-level marketing with the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. Now I'm sitting in my seat and an attorney brings it up and I go, what did I just hear? And they ask, why did you write that article? Well, in essence, she spoke in essence of there are many who find this type of study or whatever in regards to the KKK and how it relates to the Ku Klux Klan intriguing. Now, paraphrasing, the words are in the court document. Now, early on in this case, when it happened, because we do things so conservatively, because we are so product driven as a company, many people, most Caucasians, came to me and said, Jay, we think you are being racially targeted. I've never even really brought that up in my life, even though I've dealt with it all decades of my life. I'm almost 53 years old. I've been called the N-word every decade of my life. That's not stopped me from progressing and moving on to obtain success in this life. I have multiple Caucasians, mostly Caucasians, a few people of color say to me that they think this is racial targeting. And at first I was like, huh? But then as things started to play out and I started to read the things that they smeared on the internet about us, I started reading what they put in their papers. I started reading how they were talking about at our events. We play loud music and people are dancing. I started reading these things. And then I'm sitting in the courtroom and I hear these words in regards to KKK and MLM. And I'm a black CEO sitting there. And then I hear about many people are intrigued. So people, some affiliates, some non, started filing declarations with our attorneys. Now here goes a stack. Here's a stack of declarations. A stack. Started filing declarations with our attorneys saying that they believe this is racial bias against me. Many of them sitting in that courtroom. So I didn't solicit these people to do this at all. They sent it in. So I'd like to kind of go back up in popcorn, and we can start with Jody to maybe speak on this issue, because we have all this racial division going on in our country. And then you hear people of color talking about this thing called white privilege. And then people that are white, most people that are white are not walking in what they consider white privilege. But there's a small group of people that do, and they happen to have a lot of power. And then people of color go, hey man, we think that that's a racial issue. And then people, oh, no. So maybe Jody, what's your take on this? You know, there's a lot of people sent these declarations in saying, and it seemed to get ignored in our case so far. This has seemed to get ignored.
Absolutely. And Mr. Nolan, I was sitting right behind you and your wonderful Latina wife. Robert Mailer was to my left and Dr. Marinakis was to my right. And I honestly felt both of these men just collectively and myself just gasp. And you, Mr. Nolan, did not flinch. And I remember Robert leaned over to me and goes, did he just say the KKK? And we were just in shock, because number one, that is something we don't talk about. And the way I have taken this, of talking this, and we've had many conversations with people in our company, outside our company, said, are you one of the many people that find the KKK intriguing? I'm not one of the many. I have yet to hear somebody said, yeah, I find them intriguing. Not one. Number one. Number two is that the groundswell, I remember it was in June that we affiliates decided to say, we've got to take this into our hands and write these discrimination statements and send them to our new pen pal, which was the judge in this case. This was many times he has heard from us. But this collectively was almost 100 people. And within a few days that wrote, and it was things like, if this is what my America is, do I have freedom? And it just went on and on and on. Everybody was offended by this. But I believe, just as Robert said, this is just Jody Bear talking here. I believe, just like that, well, we're just going to turn our side, that the judge in the case looked for a way out, a way around this, so he couldn't address the elephant in the room, which is under the rug, and there it is. Here we have a minority, a visibly Black man, multiracial, and if the judge had any courage at all, in my opinion again, he should have struck that statement from the record right then and there. And it's like we all went and petitioned Hamlin University until the president this last early fall wasn't even taking any incoming calls because they didn't want to address it. Just like I've got to admit, when you said what in that Maui training in Hawaii, in yours and Mrs. Nolan's hotel room, when we were there on a special award trip, what is going to stop this company? And I'm thinking, I just went back to being a nutritionist and health coach, say, oh, it must be the quality of the products. And then I whispered to my husband, see, that's what we've conditioned to do. Could he be talking about the color of his skin? I said, oh, I can't say that. See, that's that piece that I am thankful. And this is privilege. This is American privilege to say, I am so grateful that I now can say no more. This is what it was and why it was. If you haven't watched, listening audience and viewing audience, the movie Just Mercy, in my opinion, Mr. J. Noland is Johnny D. If he was just out there doing his job, and this man, true movie, true story, was put in death row before he was even at trial. Our officers were put in death row. And why I think they collectively took Mr. Salk and Mr. Harris along, because they knew that Jay Noland, the man, the ex-professional baseball player, knew that it was the color of money, and he didn't see color. And if they didn't take Mr. Harris and Mr. Saka with Mr. Noland, that they would have his back. That's number one. Number two, that just like Mr. Saka and Mr. Harris having Mr. Noland's back, there was a lawyer. Back to Just Mercy. I want to keep on track because I want you all to hear Brian Christensen went ahead and said no more. And he said about Johnny D that he is innocent, and he got him off of death row to live out the rest of his life in peace. Now, we're not just doing this for Mr. Jay Noland and Mr. Harris and Mr. Saka and SBH. This has been said many, many times. But each one of these fine colleagues of mine, fellow affiliates, and many on this line are all the Brian Christensens of saying no more, no more, that we're not saying that anyone is going to be privileged, that no more can be targeted, a woman be targeted just because of the color of their skin. And I'm here on record and to say that all men and women are created equal. Thank you for giving me the mic, Mr. Nolan.
Anybody else like to share on that subject?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Sure. Let me jump in, and because I'll go right ahead. Go ahead, Doctor.
We'll turn it back to you afterward. I appreciate that. When Jody, when she was saying that this isn't just for Mr. Nolan, it couldn't be more true. Okay, you have to understand that I believe Mr. Nolan was targeted, but not only because of the color of his skin. It was because also that he provided equal opportunity, and our company was promoted. I mean, we literally made sure people knew when they came in, and if they didn't agree with that, well, they could find another place outside of where we operated. Okay, that we're the most multicultural, multiracial, diverse company in the world, and that's the way it's got to be. And if you have a problem with it, you can find another company to be with. And that's what Mr. Nolan promoted, and that was at the heart and soul of our company. Now, I would estimate, this is just my estimation, that Mr. Nolan's probably trained hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, and extended his influence through those other people on tens of millions of people. Now, if anyone watching this has ever been trained or ever been around Mr. Nolan, you would understand and you would agree with me of how empowering he is and how much courage and strength he can give to someone that he just interacts with. Okay, now, an outsider looking in, an outsider who doesn't want equality, an outsider who doesn't want minorities to be able to have success, and they saw him empowering and how much strength he could give someone and give someone an opportunity, give these minorities opportunities to where everybody's on an even playing field. Okay, an outsider who doesn't want inequality looking in at that, to me, if I was in that person's position, that would be my target. Okay, and so I believe that's exactly what they did. They saw how Mr. Nolan does a visibly black man, right? But he empowers all minorities and the majority, right? He empowers everyone, and he wants everybody to have equality. And so, to me, that's one of the major things that stood out from the very beginning of one of the reasons why they may have targeted our company in the first place. Mr. Mailer?
Thank you, Dr. Sherfield. I sat there in that courtroom right next to Jody, as she already said, right behind Mr. Nolan. And I don't even know how to describe me hearing that. I grew up small, rural, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Amish country. I read books and saw movies, KKK. And to me, it was just like, it was somewhere else, but I know it's real, but it was never that. And I couldn't believe I was sitting in a courtroom with 37 of my business partners right behind my CEO that I've known for over a quarter century. And I remember distinctly, Mr. Nolan turned right around, looked at me, and looked at his hand. It's like, did they just say that? I'm sitting here, and I was shocked. But let's go back again. Okay, we all know that's wrong. Okay, there's nobody can dispute that's wrong, and that it's completely out of control. And saying that the KKK is intriguing and that people think that, no, not at all. So let's say, why is this going on? How does this occur? Again, I've known Mr. Nolan for over 25 years. We have always had business ethics and business morals. We left a company because they were starting to sidestep what we thought was right. I got back involved with him 5 or 6 years ago. He started training a company that I was a part of. I could not believe what he had done over those 19 years when I had gone in another direction, traditionally outside of direct sales. He had built so much. And I'll tell you what, I can honestly tell you that his standards, his strictness, and his adherence to what was moral and ethical and right was even stronger than when I knew him before. Not saying anything was wrong before, I just didn't know him as well then. I mean, it was unbelievable what I saw 5 or 6 years ago. Then I was on the inside. I was with the executive team. And I never saw a thing. That's why I told my girlfriend, oh, a few weeks from now, we'll get this all straightened out. This is just a misunderstanding when the truth comes out. So why? Why did that happen? Why did it happen to a company that only did $7.5 million in 2.5 years? Why do they care? Why did it happen to a company that has a lily white, and sorry, I don't mean to bring color into it, but you know what I mean, a totally clean track record? Why did that happen? Why was it allowed to happen from somebody who not only stepped out of a marriage, forsook his kids, broke the rules of our company? Okay, why were they willing to listen to him? Then an injunction against him. So a court of law did not listen to another court of law that, hey, maybe this guy is a scoundrel, when there's been nothing said about what we're doing wrong. I mean, you've got to ask yourself, all those things that took place, or in our case, didn't take place, and no due process was allowed. I mean, let's go back, because I watched the movies. I didn't see in movies that involved the KKK much due process. I didn't see that occurring. I saw people grabbed out of their homes. I saw people grabbed from Bible worshiping, from their own families, their own close-knit society, grabbed and then dragged down the road behind a vehicle. And I'm sorry if this is graphic, but folks, you got to understand how graphic this has been, not only for us, but I realize as a businessman how graphic it can be for every one of you listening right now and every individual who breathes the air on this earth. Okay? The FTC doesn't want to stop now. People were hung. People were burned alive. Okay? All that, I saw it in movies, and I know it to be true, but that's all I knew. But I'm now watching this. When I can show you that, and if you take a look at any of our filings where we're actually able to speak to the truths against what the FTC has said, we've done no wrong. So why is this happening then? And how could it have gone this far? There's only one thing I can think of. Is because it was not an equal or level playing field, and the only thing that's different is race. And to Dr. Sherfield's point, it's not just race, it's wanting to allow equity and freedom for all, so that anybody from any level in life can rise up to wherever they want based upon their efforts and their belief in themselves. And I think there are a lot of people who aren't real supportive of that in our society, and I think we know who those are. And unfortunately, some of those people are making some of the rules and judging some of the rules. To me, it's a very, very discouraging thought about society, but being winners is, I think, all we are, because we're spending time listening to this right now. We're not going to let that stop us, and that's why I'm saying, to me, winning this case, it's a foregone conclusion in my personal opinion. We will win. Will we have lost a year and a half? Yeah. Will we have lost millions of dollars? Yeah. But we can't stop there. We need to stop this so it can never happen to anybody ever again. Because this has been a complete miscarriage of justice, and I do believe that it was racially inflicted.
Wow. I mean, you guys are here to direct, non-solicited. I just wanted them to be able to tell you from their hearts. Anybody else want to speak on that issue?
I would like to say something.
Okay, Melanie.
You know, when I sat in that courtroom and I heard her compare her comparison of MLM and the KKK, and that people were intrigued, I was one of those people that gasped, and my stomach just clenched all at once. And I couldn't believe, I was outraged, because I'm a retired teacher of 42 years, and Stacy Bosley is supposed to be a professor at Hamline University, so she's a teacher too, and I was outraged that another teacher would even bring up the KKK, let alone say people were intrigued. I wasn't intrigued. I have a personal experience with the KKK. I want to tell you something. They don't intrigue me. Their main mission is to inflict fear and threats into people's lives. And if you aren't white and you aren't Christian, you are targeted by the KKK. And it is just ridiculous that it was allowed. It was ridiculous that the judge let Lady Liberty, who's supposed to be blindfolded with her scales even. It's a travesty to me that he allowed Lady Liberty to peek under the blindfold, and that's how I'm looking at that. And it is an outrage, and it is happening to us, and hopefully it's going to stop. And everyone that is listening to this, you need though to go to that website to stop Senate Bill. What was the number? I can't remember.
Stop Senate Bill 4626.com.
And by the way, the Senate, the committee that they took that to is the Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation. So anyone on that committee, you can go to senate.gov and you can find and just look up the committee. It will tell you everyone on that committee. Those are the first people that you need to write. Those are the first people you need to say, hey, listen, because they seem to empathize with the FTC, because they don't understand what the FTC is trying to slip under their nose. And that's my opinion. But if they are allowed to get away with this, our industry and free trade and business is dead in America. And that's what I have to say about that. Thank you for letting me share.
Okay, Melody. Well, I guess that leaves one of our guests, the couple there. Is there anything you'd like to speak to in regards to this race issue that seemed to get injected to us, not of our own will? Buddy and Rhonda, anything you want to comment in closing? I think we're getting where I think some folks are saying they can't see Buddy and Rhonda. Is that true?
That's true. I can't
I
hear
was
them.
saying that too, Mr. Nolan. I could summarize what they said really quick.
Okay, so Buddy and Rhonda, they can't hear or see what you're saying, so you can do a quick summary. Go ahead, Tevis.
Yeah, I think they made an incredible point there that nobody's mentioned yet, is that when Stacey Bosley was comparing we're talking about how people find it intriguing and talking about how MLM compares to the KKK. I was disgusted, right? Here I am, I'm a doctor, and I left that to do direct sales to support my family, and I was supporting my family. I look at Buddy and Rhonda. I don't know if you guys can see them at the moment, but you saw them on here, and they were using direct sales to support themselves and their 3 children. Okay, and for someone to come in to a courtroom and say that direct sales is like the KKK, it's insulting to the entire industry, and it really, I think, shows the incredible amount of bias and hate that the way she looks at what we do for a living and to support our families. So I just wanted to make sure the viewers were able to hear that point, because I thought it was a great point.
That was a great point. We have the Buddy and Rhonda having a little technical difficulties. For some reason, they can hear us on the backstage, but you can't see them out there. So hopefully we'll have them back another time. But just any closing parting words, guys, if you can take about 60 seconds. Jody?
I just wanted to mention Thomas Paine, who was an activist in the American Revolution. And we all know about the uncommon man. And of course, we now call it the uncommon person. But this is a part of his quote that never gets read when you talk about what he was really talking about, is that I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before my master or bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid. I think and I act for myself, to enjoy the benefit of my creation, and to face the world boldly and say, it is with our Creator's help all I have done. All this is what it means to be an entrepreneur. Here we have a visibly Black man from a hog farm in Kentucky, rises to the major leagues and creates something where he was drafted by the San Diego Padres. Make no mistake of it. He used his training because he was an uncommon man. Then he goes ahead and builds industry upon industry. Robert Mailer knew him for 25 years. That is an uncommon man that did this. And when I said the only thing that I've ever seen Mr. Nolan be guilty of is that he showed me as a 64-year-old woman to stay out of retirement, to break, come join us with Senate Bill 4626 and make a difference.
Thank you, Jody. We had a few little technical difficulties here at the end, but I think everybody got the point. You know, it was pretty crystal clear. You got some uncommon civil rights activists, which I call uncommon heroes. You got a chance to hear it here. We will do our best to continue to get more voices on here. There's more people that said they wanted to talk, so we'll be dialing them up over the next few days and letting more people talk. You can hear their stories, because I think that the industry of business, a free enterprise, is at jeopardy until this becomes reined in. I had someone say to me the other day, stop talking about defund the police and start talking about defund the FTC. And I was like, wow. You know, that's something that maybe we need to consider when it comes to these initiatives. So I'm for what's right. Whatever needs to be defunded to make it right, let's defund it across the board. I don't care what's out of whack, defund it, get it back in whack. You want to tie up somebody's attention? It's in their wallet. It's in their bank account. Look what they did to us. They shut off everything unconstitutionally. Anybody that can do that should be defunded. Anybody that can take these people's hopes and dreams should be defunded. But they've done nothing wrong other than go provide opportunity and provide service and products in the marketplace. So, hey, thank you guys for joining in. It's been a phenomenal educational opportunity. The uncommon civil rights activists, I don't think they're finished. You know, from what I'm hearing, they're just beginning as far as making things right for the people out there. Everybody go to StopSenatBill4626.com. StopSenatBill4626.com, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much.